on an Appleseed program right now to teach people how to shoot a rifle. Our heritage was as a nation of riflemen. We're trying to bring back that heritage and teach people a little bit about our founding history. These folks over here. More people drown in their swimming pool than are shot every year by accident. Those who have the right, which everyone does, it's a God-given right, it's not an unalienable right that cannot be taken away, cannot be given away, cannot be transferred in any way, shape, manner, or form. It's yours from the second you start breathing to the second you stop breathing. You have that right to self-preservation. And there are many that believe that you actually begin that right at conception. While you're still in the womb, you have the right to be defended, protected.
I believe that too, yeah.
So, lots of people do. But you have that unalienable right. That is a God-given right, cannot be taken away. God created man. Man created the Constitution. The Constitution created the government. It isn't the other way around. They are supposed to be what we used to call public servants, okay? And now they're acting more like masters.
More and more.
This is just a personal thing. It has nothing to do with shooting, but there are a lot of people trying to ban firearms. Once they do that, you've got a major problem, because that's when they start eliminating people. That's what the Nazis did before they went to the internment camps, the concentration camps. Every nation who has disarmed their population in the last century, most of them became tyrannical and actually ended up massacring their populations.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
In the near future, Earth is dominated by a powerful world government.
It's known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
For thousands of years, their dark order grew. Now, as they hail the birth of the New World Order, their great dream of exterminating 80% of humanity is at hand. For the first time in history, the elite's plan for world government is blown wide open. You will learn the secret that drives the entire New World Order agenda.
Bilderberg is making great progress toward a world government, and only an educated, informed public can stop them in their tracks.
Yeah, I find it kind of curious that credentials that Representative Rush brings to the table for this gun control proposal. This is a fellow that several decades ago was a very active, in fact, one of the founding members of a gang of street thugs called the Black Panthers. And he barely escaped being present where some of his buddies got nailed in a shootout with Chicago police. He subsequently served some 5 months on illegal weapons charges. Maybe that's his credential for this bill.
And they're talking about nationalizing the banks. When the banks have control of all of your financial information, and they say who can get a loan and who can't, they control your life. In this bill, which you don't have to worry about because it was already in the stimulus bill, they want all of your medical records if you want to get a gun. This is what concerns me. The government is going to control all medical information and all financial information. Without a gun, how do you stay free?
Well, that's a very good question, and perhaps that's what was uppermost on Representative Rush's mind. You put your finger on, I think, one of the real key problems and why Gun Owners of America made this a gun vote. We're rating the vote on the government stimulus plan because we think it stimulates the government's growth as a gun vote, precisely because these medical records being made available through a uniform database and millions of dollars being made available for it mean that people who have certain medical diagnoses on their record will be deemed to be not worthy of having a gun, no trial, no due process. They're just without their right to keep and bear arms.
All right. Thank you.
No one will be able to be armed. We will take all weapons.
It was a human drama with emotions and tensions running high. Patty Connie is still trying to recover physically and emotionally.
They really did a number on me.
From the day police forced her from her home.
It was traumatic. All of a sudden, they were banging on the front door, the side door, and the back door. They said, "Let us in."
Patty tried to explain. She was on dry land, she had plenty of food and water, and didn't want to abandon her dogs. But it didn't matter.
If you see 6 or 8 police that look like linebackers pushing you in a corner, you're in shock. I'm saying, "Look at all my food. I got plenty of food." They kept pushing me back, and ended up like this.
Then, Patty showed them a small revolver she was carefully holding in the palm of her hand. A camera crew was there to capture what unfolded next.
I said, "It's not even loaded." And I dropped it on the floor.
You got a gun?
Well, they punched me in the face. Look at my black and blue marks. Look at what they did to me. They dragged me out of here. I really thought they were going to kill me. I really did.
Our freedom is at stake.
People want freedom. They want to be able to hunt.
Liberty is the word.
Everything is going, our traditions, and this is what we're fighting for.
They marched in protest, a silent procession of a people grasping for one last chance to resist, shamefully admitting they only have themselves to blame for government policies that threaten their way of life, their security, and the future of democracy in Britain.
We've been very apathetic for years, and now we're paying the price for it.
It's a disgrace, really. And we've seen these fundamental liberties eroded in the last 20-odd years in England, all sorts of legislation that should never have appeared.
Sportsmen and shooters fooled by politicians into thinking that England's age-old tradition of fox hunting would never be targeted or banned. Now realizing, perhaps too little too late, that their traditions are no more secure than their freedoms.
This isn't about banning fox hunting. This is about the liberty of the individual to choose for him or herself what they do.
A future that's in doubt, and the largest peaceful protest in British history to try to change that has got many asking, where were these voices 6 years ago when there was an outright ban on handguns and pistol shooters were forced to surrender their firearms, confiscated by the government to be destroyed?
We hear people saying the proposed ban on fox hunting is the thin end of the wedge. I am a pistol shooter. As far as I'm concerned, we've already swallowed the wedge. And where does it go next?
Liberties that have already been sacrificed for the politicians' false promise of a safer society. Gun bans that, as predicted, have simply backfired.
We've seen about a 40% increase in firearms crime since the ban was introduced. That is not a success in my book.
We need to be armed, you know, we're not safe any longer. Everything is changing.
And now, some members of Parliament are questioning the government's anti-gun agenda, an agenda that has, without a doubt, failed.
The use of weapons in crime has risen dramatically. And it's very difficult to get government departments to openly accept the fact.
Politicians refusing to face the facts, while the police are forced to every day.
It's totally out of control.
This police officer, who feared he'd lose his job for speaking out, asked to remain anonymous. He said for the first time ever, bobbies are carrying firearms, but they're still outgunned by criminals who can buy whatever they want on the black market.
Every officer now in this country gets issued with body armour. When I joined the police service back in the 80s, we didn't have any of this. We had a wooden truncheon and a set of chain link handcuffs. The firearms laws have been tightened up since. Why do we still need this equipment? Simply because the criminals have the weapons and they're prepared to use them.
Gun policy's gone tragically wrong, and police morale at an all-time low.
I feel let down by the politicians, by the senior management in the police, I feel at present I cannot give the public the service they demand and expect.
And as this officer made very clear, it's a law built on a lie.
The politicians, basically, they have misled the public. They said, if we ban handguns, the country's going to be a safer place. They ban the handguns, the country is not a safer place. Why are British people not to be trusted? And I think that says a lot about the government.
Citizens left defenseless, now victims of the very laws passed to protect them, and asking how many more Tony Martins will there be. Martin, a Norfolk farmer, was forced to protect himself when no one else would. Not the police, and not the British justice system. What happened at this farmhouse owned by Tony Martin 4 years ago has struck a real nerve, not only in this country, but internationally. 2 men broke into Tony Martin's house. Both of them were shot. One of them was killed. And the man who fired that gun, Tony Martin, was initially sentenced to life in prison for murder. But many people think Tony Martin should never have spent 1 day in jail. They say he was just an innocent man protecting himself and his property.